everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Grateful Wife, the podcast where we talk about life, gratitude, family, and the things that truly matter. Today's episode is going to be very different from what you're used to on this channel. For the first time, I'm stepping away from my usual topics to focus on something that has shaken me to my absolute core. And that is the current high-profile case of Joy Zuraff, a Florida mother whose 5-year-old daughter, Kenlee, was forcibly removed by the Florida's Department of Children and Family Services in March of 2024. As a mother myself, I can't even begin to imagine the pain Joy and her daughter have endured for these last 2 years. Having your child taken from you, especially when you're doing everything to protect them, is a punishment worse than death. It's a nightmare that keeps happening every single day. I could have easily scrolled past this story. I live in Wisconsin. This is happening in Florida. And I have a teeny tiny YouTube channel. What difference can I possibly make? But then I thought about my little girl, who's the same age as Kenlee. I thought about the nightmare it would be to have mine and her last memories of us be screaming and crying as she drives away in a stranger's car. I'm sorry. This just hits too close to home for me. And right now, Joy and the thousands of parents and children who are going through this every single year across our country, they have no voice, but I do, and so do you. So if I can use my voice, even in the smallest way, to help bring awareness, to shine a light on what's happening, and maybe, just maybe, contribute to the reunification of Kenlee and Joy, then this episode is absolutely worth it. So today, we're diving into the full story with the most up-to-date information of Joy Zuraff and Kenlee, and the parallels to the Take Care of Maya case, the Bodycam footage that has shocked so many, the key developments of the people involved, and most importantly, how you can help bring Kenlee home. Right now, there's a lot of noise and distraction around what's happening in Minnesota with ICE and immigration enforcement. And while those issues are serious and deserve attention, I truly believe that what Joy and Kenlee are going through, as well as so many other families in this country, what they're dealing with Child Protective Services and the medical overreach, it affects far more families in America than what's currently dominating the headlines. This is happening right here in our own backyard to everyday parents who love their children and are simply trying to make the best medical decisions for them. And it's worth highlighting, most especially, that the deadline for Joy's parental rights is closing in fast. The next critical hearing is on February 9th, approximately 2 weeks away as I'm filming this episode. So as you can see, time is of the essence. We need as much noise and attention and pressure on this case as possible. And before we begin, I am giving a strong viewer and listener discretion advisory. This episode discusses child removal, emotional trauma, and descriptions of distressing video footage involving a young child. If you have personal experiences with family separation or child welfare issues, this might be triggering. Take care of yourself first. Pause if needed, or skip ahead to the calls to action at the end. All right, let's get into it. We're tackling a heartbreaking and infuriating case that's sparking outrage across parental rights and medical freedom communities across the country. The story of Joy Zuraff and her daughter Kenlee, a tale many are calling another common example of medical kidnapping by Florida's Department of Children and Families, also known as DCF. But before we get into the details of Joy's fight, I want to start with a case that many of you may already be familiar with, one that feels eerily similar and sets the stage for why this matters so much. In 2016, a 10-year-old girl named Maya Kowalski was admitted to Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital in St. Petersburg, Florida, suffering from a rare and debilitating neurological condition called complex regional pain syndrome. Her parents, Beata and Jack Kowalski, were desperately seeking aggressive pain management treatments, including high-dose ketamine infusions, which had helped Maya before. The hospital disagreed with the family's chosen treatment plan, accused the parents of medical child abuse, specifically Munchausen syndrome by proxy, and called in DCF. Maya was removed from her parents' custody and kept in the hospital for months under state guardianship. Her mother, Beata, was barred from seeing her daughter and tragically took her own life during the ordeal. The family fought back, and the story gained national attention through the 2023 documentary on Netflix, Take Care of Maya. In November of 2023, a jury initially awarded the Kowalski family over $200 million, finding the hospital liable for negligence, false imprisonment, and emotional distress. However, in late 2025, a Florida appeals court overturned that verdict, citing legal immunities for child abuse reporting. The case is still ongoing, with mediation attempts failing recently, but it exposed deep flaws in how Florida's child welfare system handles medical disputes. So why does this matter for Joy Zuraff? Well, the parallels are striking. Both involve Florida hospitals and DCF removing a child from loving parents over disagreements about medical treatment. In both cases, parents were accused of medical neglect for seeking alternatives or cautious approaches to standard care. Both families face prolonged separations, gag orders or restrictions, sealed records, and claims of overreach, what advocates call, quote, medical kidnapping. And in both, the child's health and well-being became the battleground, with devastating emotional tolls on the families. Maya's story showed the world what can happen when the system prioritizes institutional judgment over parental rights. And sadly, Joy Zuraff's case feels like a chilling echo, and it's happening right now. The story begins in Santa Rosa County, Florida, where Joy Zuraff, a devoted single mother to her then 5-year-old daughter, Kenlee. Kenlee has cystic fibrosis, a serious genetic condition affecting the lungs and digestive system. Joy was actively managing her daughter's care, but in early 2024, a dispute arose over the medication Trikafta, a modular drug that's standard for cystic fibrosis, but comes with potential side effects like liver damage. Joy, in her own words, describes the side effects that her daughter suffered on Trikafta.
She started saying that her throat hurt and her chest hurt and her legs hurt and her arms hurt. And I said, I think she's having side effects to the medication. And they said, no, she's not. She just caught another virus up in the hospital. I said, I believe she's having a side effect. And they wouldn't budge. My daughter ended up getting a full-blown body rash. The doctors would not listen to me. Had I not been up at the hospital with my daughter 3 hours from my house, I think they would have killed my daughter.
So you can understand why Joy naturally wanted a second opinion and monthly liver enzyme testing to monitor risks. But doctors at Ascension Sacred Heart Hospital disagreed and reported her to DCF for, quote, medical neglect. On March 6, 2024, DCF swooped in and removed Kenlee from Joy's home. And here is what Joy was told by the police officers who arrived on site to take Kenlee.
She was having an allergic reaction to antibiotics, severe reactions, throat hurt, chest tightness, arms hurt, legs hurt, full-blown body rash, severe red rash hives. They finally did blood work and they said, your daughter's having an allergic reaction. I said, are you going to take her off now? And they said, yes. I said, what are you going to do about the side effects? And they said, we'll put her on Benadryl. I said, okay. It was after that I decided that those doctors were not going to listen to my concerns about the medication. So I found another doctor to treat my daughter for cystic fibrosis. They called CPS on me and told the cops. The cops came to my home and they said that my daughter was dying. The cops said, well, your daughter's not dying. I said, what do you mean? They're like, she's running around playing. I said, of course she's running around playing. They're like, well, we were told she's dying. I said, what? They're like, yeah, we're told your daughter's dying. She's clearly not dying. She's running around playing. They told them that my daughter was dying because I wanted to go somewhere else that would treat my daughter for cystic fibrosis and would listen to my concerns.
I find that interesting that the cops were told by DCF that Kenlee was dying. That seems a little, dishonest? What followed has been nearly 2 years of court battles, sealed records, and a gag order silencing Joy from speaking publicly about her own child. This isn't just a random story, it's a spotlight on what advocates call an epidemic of medical kidnapping, where parents lose custody over disagreements with medical authorities. Kenlee's removal was based on the claim that Joy's caution was endangering her daughter, but developments since then have flipped the script. Now, since all of this went down, court records have been sealed tight, and a gag order was placed on Joy Zuraff. And so it's no wonder why a majority of us had never even heard of this case. But this past weekend, Bodycam footage of the DCF removal of Kenlee Zuraff was released and has caused public outrage online, shining a spotlight on the aggressive and insensitive nature of the removal of Kenlee by the DCF. The full video, which I will link in the description of this podcast, is 44 minutes long. It's raw. It's hard to watch. I will admit, I didn't watch the whole thing. I couldn't. And for the sake of time, for the sake of this podcast, I will play just some of the key moments of the removal. And again, I must warn you that this video is extremely hard to watch. And as a parent, I will go so far as to say it's traumatic. So viewer discretion is advised.
We've been pulling records from everywhere. Okay, so here's what's going to happen today. All right, and you need to yourself. We are taking Kenlee with us. Okay? Now, you can handle this one of two ways. You can show out and you can act a fool and you can make this difficult.
Or can my friend Jamie take her?
Stop. Let me finish. Don't interrupt me. You can show out and act a fool and make the situation worse. Or two, you can calm yourself, ask your questions, and then help us get her stuff and walk her to my car. The option is yours, but either way, make no mistake, she's coming with me tonight.
Why?
Because of the treatment you've refused and because of the doctors.
I'm not refusing treatment.
Don't interrupt me. That's twice. Because of the treatment you've refused and the condition her lungs are in.
Hey, I'm sorry. So once this is punctured, it has to be refrigerated.
Okay.
So it's 2 milliliters. There's 4 milliliters in there.
Okay.
And then
Is this a shot or does it go in the machine?
no, it goes in the nebulizer. You
Okay.
mix 2 milliliters of that with 2 milliliters of this.
Okay.
And then once they're open, they have to go in the refrigerator. And then
Okay.
if I give you a bigger bottle, if I find a bigger bottle, they're only good in the fridge for 4 days
Did you clear up when
after
you were
they're
an adult?
punctured.
Just went away as an
Otherwise, they
adult?
don't have to be refrigerated.
Okay, sounds good.
You need me to write this down?
It would help if you could. This is temporary, Mama.
Are you heading over to the ideas? Okay.
So we can get visitation set up for her as well, so that they're not. They're used to seeing each other. All right. Go ahead and get your shoes on, Mama. Let's walk her outside.
Okay, I can't say bye to her.
Yeah. We can do it outside. Does she wear like nighttime pull-ups or anything?
156. Unfortunate.
Just want to make sure.
10-4.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's the supervisor for tonight?
Sergeant Applin.
Tell him Brooke said hey.
I will.
All right, Mama. Bring her to the car. Bring her to the car. She'll be in the back, right side.
Louis song stuck in my head now.
No. 2 more minutes and then we out. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Thank you, because I know for a fact you guys are the only reason she didn't show out. So thank you.
We're here for you.
I know. Amazing.
Marilyn said hi.
Huh?
Marilyn said hi. Marilyn?
Oh, is she dispatching?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I miss my girl. Tell my beautiful badass. Hey.
Oh, well. Uh-huh.
98. Caller has a video of the incident.
Addison, do you want to come say goodbye? Collect it. Otherwise, you're not getting near her. Get it together. Otherwise, you're not getting near her.
What car is he?
No, you are not going to get her all
He's going to be a blue Mustang
Get it together.
with handicap tag Ida Robert Adam 5.
That's not your business. Now, go. Okay. Go ahead and pack her up. No, go. Go.
34. This email's going to be on the side of the road.
Ann, hold on. Come here. Addie. If she's going to act like that. No. Hold on.
Addie, just come here. Just calm down. Calm down. Calm down, Addie.
244. Jumper. Jumper. Jumper.
Yeah, you can email or call me with any questions or any concerns. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
There are no words for the heartbreak and the anger that this incites in me, especially when you see grinning faces of the caseworkers, the ones who are smiling just like this, like it's just another day in the office for them. How disconnected from humanity does one have to be to watch a terrified 5-year-old little girl cling to her mother for life, and your reaction is to snicker? As if the story couldn't get any more infuriating, and trust me, it does, after this footage went viral and exposed what critics have been saying for decades is the absolute heartless bureaucracy that has become Child Protective Services in America, Florida DCF recently put out a statement claiming that Kenlee is, quote, unequivocally safe in their care. Let that sink in for a second. The agency that had psychopaths gleefully smiling as they took a crying little girl away from her loving mother is safe? How many children are in custody of DCF right now? A lot of reports are saying it's anywhere between 17,000 to 20,000. You're absolutely sure that Kenlee is safe? This is the same agency that employed a caseworker, Denise Hanner Webb, who just last summer was arrested for 2 felony accounts of child abuse. She's no longer with DCF, but apparently she's trusted to handle children up until last summer. And if you watch the video, you'll see something that should shock every parent listening. At one point, this caseworker with the red shirt, identified as Ann Gray, or AKA Ann Hubbard, She literally has no idea how to properly administer Kenlee's medication.
Hey, sorry. So once this is punctured, it has to be refrigerated.
Okay.
So it's 2 milliliters. There's 4 milliliters in there.
Okay.
And then
Is this a shot or does it go in the machine?
no, it goes in the nebulizer. You
Okay.
mix 2 milliliters of that with 2 milliliters of this.
Okay.
And then once they're open, they have to go in the refrigerator. And then
Okay.
if I give you a bigger bottle, if I find a bigger bottle, they're only good in the fridge for 4 days
Did you clear up when
after
you were an
they're
adult?
punctured.
Just went away as an
Otherwise, they
adult.
don't have to be refrigerated.
Okay, sounds good.
You need me to write this down?
It would help if you could. This is temporary, Mama.
She has to turn to the grieving mother, Joy Zuraff, who was holding her terrified, crying daughter, and ask for instructions on how to give the very treatment that DCF insisted was so critical that they took the child away to ensure it happened. So let me ask you, how can a child be unequivocally safe in the hands of an agency that employs and then has to arrest someone for child abuse, or someone who can't even figure out how to give the medication without the mom's help? A mother that is supposedly a danger to her child. Make it make sense. So fast forward 2 years, and Kenlee Zuraff still remains in DCF custody. She's still in foster care. 2 years later, reports say she is somewhere about 12 hours one-way drive from her mother. Joy's under strict gag order from Judge Scott Duncan. Remember that name, Scott Duncan. He's preventing her from sharing details publicly. A common tactic in dependency cases that critics say silences parents. And that core issue, remember that drug Trikafta? Remember Joy's original concerns about it? Well, it turns out in December of 2024, the FDA slapped a black box warning on it, the strongest alert for risks of liver injury or failure, recommending monthly testing. That's exactly what Joy requested. Reports from supporters also claim, although these can't be substantiated, but Kenlee has had elevated liver enzymes since she's been in foster care. Again, validating Joy's concerns. In the same CARES project video, Joy reads Florida's legal definition of medical neglect from the Florida Statute 39.01, emphasizing that it's not neglect if parents make reasonable attempts or face known complications or conflicting advice. Here's the exact verbiage of the law that she referenced. Medical neglect means the failure to provide or the failure to allow needed care as recommended by a healthcare practitioner for a physical injury, illness, medical condition, or impairment, or the failure to seek timely and appropriate medical care for a serious health problem that a reasonable person would have recognized as requiring professional medical attention. Medical neglect does not occur if the parent or legal guardian of the child has made reasonable attempts to obtain necessary health care services or the immediate health condition given rise to the allegation of neglect and is a known and expected complication of the child's diagnosis or treatment, and A, the recommended care offers limited net benefit to the child, the morbidity or other side effects of the treatment may be considered to be greater than the anticipated benefit, or B, the parent or legal guardian received conflicting medical recommendations for treatment from multiple practitioners and did not follow all recommendations. Many supporters and legal observers argue that Florida is in direct violation of its own law here. Joy wasn't neglecting Kenlee. She was actively managing her care, seeking a second opinion, advocating fiercely at the hospital, even believing that she saved her daughter's life by being present, and raising legitimate concerns about the side effects that FDA later validated with a black box warning. This fits squarely under the exceptions. In A and B, the treatment's risk, which was liver damage, could outweigh benefits in her view, and she had conflicting advice, which was the hospital pushing Trikafta versus her push for monitoring and alternatives. Adding to this, a major bombshell that has just been released, Kenlee's primary care physician has publicly stated that as of today, he has not been contacted once by DCF or the state during this investigation, despite nearly 2 years passing. This raises serious questions about the integrity of the case against Joy. If the central concerns are medical in nature, about treatment choices, side effects, monitoring, and the child's overall health, why wouldn't investigators reach out to the doctor who knows Kenlee's full medical history best? Why rely solely on the hospital's perspective without consulting her long-term caregiver? Wouldn't speaking to the primary physician provide critical context, balance conflicting opinions, and ensure a fair assessment? These omissions make the investigation appear incomplete at best and potentially biased at worst, especially in a case where the state is challenging a parent's medical decisions. This case has been dragged on with multiple continuances. The latest hearing, which was originally set for January 21st of this year, has now been pushed to February 9th, which is approximately 2 weeks from me recording this video. The hearing for February 9th is described by some as the potential final decision on parental rights, which means Joy is at risk of losing her daughter forever. So the very good news is that this case is no longer local, and that means that the state of Florida is in big trouble. Politicians and many people of high influence are weighing in, and most are on Joy's side. Gubernatorial candidate James Fishback has spoken with Joy, and he plans to attend the February 9th hearing, calling it, quote, a grave assault on parental rights, end quote. Candidate John Frankman has also voiced support for Joy, and he plans on showing up in court on February 9th as well. Other figures like Mo DeMonche have criticized the DeSantis administration for the separation and urging him to make reforms. Recently, a statement from Ron DeSantis' communications director defended the state's actions in child welfare cases like this. While not naming Zuraff directly, it echoed DCF's stance that removals prioritize child safety over parental disputes, framing interventions as necessary protections. Advocates see this as stonewalling, especially with calls for DeSantis to investigate DCF via Surgeon General Dr. Joseph Ladapo or the Attorney General James Othmeyer. So far, there has been no official probe from the governor's office. And up until making this video, I have checked Ron DeSantis' X account, and he has been very busy posting all day about anything and everything except the Joy Zuraff case. So that tells me that his office needs a couple more thousand phone calls before he can find the willpower to pick up his phone and ask his Surgeon General Dr. Joseph Ladapo to open an investigation into the Zuraff versus DCF case. Now, DeSantis may not need to worry about running for governor anymore, but we all know that he has his sights set on a future presidential bid someday. So for what it's worth, he should be reminded that when it comes to him touting Florida as the most medically free state in America, he needs to put his money where his mouth is. Which brings me to the final part of this podcast, how you can help bring Kenlee back home. There is so much that you can do to make an actual difference, not just in this case, but in the thousands like it. You can bring hope to the thousands of parents out there who are in the same position as Joy. Here are a list of numbers that you can call right now to help bring Kenlee home. You can start with Governor Ron DeSantis' office. You can politely urge an investigation into his DCF's handling of the Zuraff case. Tell him to call upon his Surgeon General, Dr. Joseph Ladapo, to open this investigation. Next would be Attorney General James Othmeyer. Ask for a review of judicial and agency practices in Santa Rosa County, as well as looking into possible medical fraud of the Ascension Sacred Heart Hospital. You can also call the Florida DCF main line and express concerns about medical neglect cases and overreach. And last but definitely not least, please donate to Joy's Legal Defense Fund. Joy is facing massive legal bills, and she is spending every penny that she has to get her daughter back. One recent invoice alone was over $7,000. You can contribute here. Every dollar helps her fight in court. If you possibly can attend the February 9th hearing, it is at Santa Rosa County Courthouse. This is the day after the Super Bowl, so let's not let what's happening in Minnesota or the Super Bowl distract you from this. This could be the very last chance that Joy has in reuniting with her daughter and preserving her God-given rights to be her mother. If you're in Florida, I beg of you to show up to this court hearing and to do it peacefully. The more people that we can get on site, the better, to show that the state's crimes are no longer hidden and that we want justice for Kenlee. If you happen to be on X and you want to follow this case more closely, I highly recommend following Real Key West Jess, who is doing phenomenal work on this case as well as Dr. Joel Rudman and the legal team fighting for Joy, We the Patriots USA. I will put their X handles in the description so you can follow them there. That is the full story of Joy and Kenlee Zuraff. It's a painful reminder that parental rights are under serious threat in our country. Independent journalist Ryan Mata recently produced a documentary called Never in America. It's an extremely thorough, in-depth investigation into the Child Protective Services system as a whole, and what he has uncovered is shocking. He lays out the financial incentives, the patterns of behavior, the way this system actually operates behind the scenes, and it's going to make your stomach turn. If you want to understand how deep this problem really goes and why cases like Joy and Kenlee's keep happening, I strongly encourage you to watch his full investigation. I will put the link in the show notes and in the description so you can find it. It is long, it is heavy, but it's incredibly eye-opening. Watch it, share it, talk about it. Because the more people who understand what's really happening inside CPS across the country, the harder it's going to become for these kinds of injustices to keep occurring in the shadows. This isn't just Joy Zuraff's story. It's the story of thousands of parents across this country who are having their children taken, not because of abuse, but because they dared to question a doctor, seek a second opinion, or say no when the risks felt too high. When the state can label reasonable parental caution as medical neglect and use it as a weapon to rip families apart, we no longer live in a free country. We are living in one where the government decides what's best for your child, even when you're the one holding them at night, feeding them, loving them, and fighting for them every single day. Parental rights are not privileges granted by the state. They are God-given, inalienable, and must be respected. Medical neglect should never be a catch-all phrase to silence parents who refuse to blindly follow every recommendation, especially when those recommendations come with black box warnings, known complications, or conflicting evidence. Joy Zuraff did everything right. She advocated, she researched, she stayed by her daughter's side when the hospital wanted to dismiss her pain. And for that, Kenlee was taken. We cannot stay silent. We cannot look away. Because it may not be our child today, but tomorrow it could be. We must demand that parental rights be honored, that medical neglect stop being weaponized against loving families, and that no more children be used as pawns in a broken system. Kenlee deserves her mother. Joy deserves her daughter. They have missed 2 birthdays and 2 Christmases. On February 9th, let's make sure that they don't miss any more. Thank you for watching.